Hello there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Grey Desire, and today we are going to do a little first trimester recap. Because if you didn't know, I am pregnant. I just made it into the second trimester this week, so I am enjoying all the changes that come with that. Let's do a quick bump date before we get into anything. Here is how the bump is looking from the front, and here is a side view. So really just starting to show now, and it is so exciting. If you know anything about pregnancy, you know that the first trimester is grueling. It is so difficult. I'm so glad to be out of that. Oh my goodness. It's ridiculous. Somebody needs to change something about this first trimester because it is wild. So one of my first symptoms when I knew I was pregnant was that my mind just completely stopped working. I couldn't remember anything. I couldn't come up with things. Like I kept mixing up my words. I was so bad. And that lasted the entire first trimester. I couldn't remember what I was doing. I needed to write down. I have a notebook of all these lists of things I needed to keep in my mind, and I also have it typed on my computer, so I had to put it in two places to be sure to remember it, which is a lot of effort. Then the fatigue is probably the worst part of it all. Oh my gosh. I couldn't stand for more than a minute. I felt like my body was full of concrete. I was so heavy, it was so hard to move. I couldn't do anything. But we made it through. As soon as I hit, I think it was 12 weeks and 4 days, my energy came back, and I feel like a completely different person. Like when I walk, there's just literally more pep in my step, which is crazy and so necessary. I was not going to be able to make it through this pregnancy if I didn't get my energy back. So I'm very grateful for that. The fatigue, it was impossible. It was very difficult. The next, everybody hears about this symptom was the nausea. Oh my gosh. Glad to be done with that as well. It wasn't too awful. With my first pregnancy, I was getting sick every single day, but this time I mainly only got sick 3 or 4 days a week, so that's not too bad. Though I was nauseous all day, every day. You always hear about morning sickness, but for me, it lasted all day, no matter what, whether I was hungry, full, I just drank water, I was thirsty, literally anything, I was nauseous. I was so sensitive to smells, any scent, whether it was good or bad, it was so overwhelming, and that would make me nauseous. Just an intense smell. Even if it was just a nice smell of flowers, if it was intense, I got nauseous. So that was fun. I couldn't think, I couldn't move, I couldn't eat. It was so tricky. At my latest doctor's appointment, I found out that I actually lost 3 pounds in the first trimester, which is kind of a bummer. I really like the weight gain that comes with pregnancy. It's a weird thing to like, but I enjoy it. So I was bummed to see that I lost 3 pounds. Even though I feel and look bigger, somehow I'm lighter. But hopefully these next 2 trimesters I can gain it back and then a ton more. So it was just so sad. The first trimester I couldn't eat anything. Nothing sounded good. Everybody wanted to know all my cravings, but I really just had aversions. I really didn't want to eat anything ever. And then if I did, I got sick, so that was fun. So happy to be done with that. So yeah, now I feel so much better. Not nauseous. I can eat real food again. I only really get nauseous if I eat a really big meal. And big meal is relative. I can't eat that much yet. I feel like my stomach is already squished from my growing uterus. So I can't eat as much anymore, but I can eat more than the first trimester, so that's good. Besides that, one of my earliest symptoms was bloating. That went away probably halfway through the first trimester, and it officially turned to pregnancy bump and just growing uterus, so that's nice. Nice to it's more firm, so it feels like more legit, like a real pregnancy instead of just I ate too much. So that's nice. Another symptom I really had was that the girls were changing immediately. That continued to be the case. I developed a ton of veins throughout, I swear, like every day I was noticing more, which I think is fun. A little extra decor for the ladies, which is nice. I'm trying to be vague, but the center of the girls, the color is starting to get darker, which is exciting. I really love seeing all the changes that pregnancy brings. But the center, the color is darkening, the overall size is increasing, and then the center size is increasing too. So bigger and better, I love it. Obviously the belly's increasing, which is nice. It's still pretty small, but so much bigger than where things started. So that's fun to see. I am really looking forward to the second trimester though, because if it's anything like my first pregnancy, like the bulk of the growth happens now. Like you start barely looking pregnant, and then by the end you're like severely pregnant. So that's exciting. I'm really looking forward to that. Another symptom I dealt with a lot early on was shortness of breath and just like running out of breath really fast, and that has continued to be the case. I've had to take so many breaks while filming this to just gather my breath. I don't really know why that is. It makes sense when you're further along and your lungs are like restricted because there's a big belly in the way, but right now it must just be hormone related, so that's fun. I finally, the last week of my first trimester, I finally got to work out again, which was a doozy. I've been sometimes doing some gentle yoga flows throughout the first trimester, but the last week I finally felt enough energy to do more of a like Pilates inspired flow. So it's like my first workout in like 3 months, and I was gassed, absolutely floored, just from doing like a couple body weight squats. So gotta work on that, gotta get some fitness back, but that's also another thing I'm looking forward to in pregnancy. I found out the first time around that exercising, yoga in particular, really helped to give me a good like labor and birth experience. So I'm gonna make sure to prioritize that this time around. And it's like fun, and it helps you feel so much better when everything feels awful. So that's nice. We're gonna do a lot of yoga, hopefully incorporate more Pilates and work on that shortness of breath cardio again. And then this month I actually got to figure out the gender, which is super exciting. That I took the blood work test. I think I was 10 weeks along when I did it, and then a week later I got the results. I do keep the gender private, so I won't be revealing that, but I am happy with what we're having. It's really exciting. Glad to get to add this little member to the family. That's probably the highlight of the first trimester. Everything else pretty much sucks, and then you find out the gender, and that's a fun perk. Also found out that's the genetic testing too, so little one is healthy too, no genetic issues or differences or anything going on. So that's nice, really comforting going into the next few months. I think that about sums up all of my symptoms throughout the first trimester and how I was feeling. It's really just tired and sick. So that's fun. I did have some lingering questions. I recently did a Q&A, a pregnancy-related Q&A on here, and I saved some of those questions because they were pretty specific about my experience of the first trimester. So I saved them for this video, so we're going to go through some of those questions now. So if I didn't answer your question in the first video, now is your time. The first question we have is related to how pregnancy sleep and pregnancy dreams are. Sleep, so far it has been pretty easy. I've been really tired, so I'm eager to sleep by the end of the day, fall asleep really fast, stay asleep most of the time. But yeah, sleep has been good. That hasn't been an ailment yet, so I am savoring every good night of sleep. But the dreams, on the other hand, they have been absolutely unhinged. Pregnancy dreams are on a whole new level. It's crazy. Oh my gosh, yeah. They're so detailed. I found that they last like the whole night. Instead of having like a bunch of different dreams throughout, it's one long movie, it feels like. They're so entertaining. I feel like I'm watching a movie at night, my mind seems so creative with all the details it comes up with. I'm like, where are you finding that? So it's really entertaining to have dreams while pregnant. So I've been enjoying those. They've been very corny, but with an H at the beginning, if you get what I'm getting at. I have been very corny with an H, but then my dreams have also followed the same way. And again, being very detailed, they'll like pick out specific people to dream about, and then I'm like, oh, this is awkward when I see them next. So that's fun. They're like random people in my daily life, other adult creators that I know of or personally know, and yeah, still unhinged even in the corny with an H version of dreams. They're very fun, but yeah, they're intense. They're very funny. I'm enjoying it so far. Let's get into our next question. Okay, this one is not first trimester specific, but I did want to touch on it. This question is, does it make things down here loose to be pregnant? And I can only speak from my experience, and my first time around it might be different this time, but during pregnancy, no, it would be the opposite. Everything is tighter because everything swells and puffs up, and then as a result gets tighter. And then like after giving birth, everything is like more open and stretched, but it does like come back together, if that makes sense. It's like a rubber band. So it has like its natural state, and then you can stretch it really far, but then once you relax the stretch, it goes back to that same natural state. So that's essentially what happens down low during birth and everything. Everything gets stretched, but then it snaps back to where it was originally. And since my last birth, I haven't noticed any lasting changes. Up until now, like everything, it has settled back into being exactly what I remember. The first couple months of like healing and stuff afterwards, it was different, but at this point, everything is the same. I think I answered this question in the first question Q&A, but it was, do I have any like favorite moments or highlights of the pregnancy? And I was very like negative and sick the first time, so yeah, I was like, I don't have any highlights, it's all been awful. So now I can actually answer with some highlights. The biggest one was finding out the gender. It's just nice to kind of know what's going on in your body a little bit more with that. Add some like peace, and it's much easier to make like a registry and all those things and like fantasize about the rest of my life. It's much nicer to finally know what the gender is. So that was a big highlight. And then besides that, the biggest highlight was making it to 12 weeks and 4 days and feeling like I was no longer in the first trimester. So yeah, so far highlights are getting out of the first trimester and finding out the gender, but I do think the next 2 trimesters are going to be filled with highlights. They're going to be so much fun. Second trimester was my favorite, my first pregnancy, because you're not uncomfortable yet, but you start to be able to feel the movements, and it's really exciting and fun. Yeah, speaking of movements, just today, in fact, I am like 90% sure that I felt the first official movement, so that's really exciting. I felt some pressure up here in my stomach, so I like pushed against it, and then I felt like a squirm, a wiggle, flutter, whatever you want to call it, like deeper in my stomach. So I think we like actually interacted for the first time, so that's pretty cool. And there'll just be a lot more of that coming up in the second trimester, which is so fun. It's probably my favorite thing about pregnancy in general, is being able to like experience those kicks and movements. This is the only time you can ever feel that, and you're the only person to experience it, so it's really unique and you gotta savor it all. Yes. Next question. This one is, how have I handled cravings? And really I haven't had any yet. First trimester, I hated everything. The sound of food was awful. I survived off of Pop-Tarts and McDonald's, which is great. Somehow still lost 3 pounds, so woohoo for pregnancy, I don't know. So yeah, I barely made it through first trimester. Second trimester so far, I'm only like a week in, so I haven't really experienced any cravings yet. It's just been like, I'm excited to start eating again. More inclined to like eat fruits and vegetables now than I was last trimester, but I just need calories at this point, so I just want it all. I'm happy to eat it all at this point. Okay, and then our last question here is just how many months and how many weeks am I? I am currently just over 13 weeks. So not quite 14 weeks yet, but I'm 13, right in the middle of that 13th week. So I'm just getting into the second trimester. Feeling good. If you count each month as having 4 weeks, that technically puts me at just over 3 months along. Not all months have 4 weeks, so somewhere around there, somewhere around 3 months pregnant. But yes, first trimester is done. We're feeling good again. Now we're gonna enjoy all of the fun that comes with the second trimester. When it gets closer to the end of the second trimester, I will be doing another Q&A. I'll be posting on my Instagram, and you can ask all your questions there, and I will add them at the end of the second trimester recap video, and we'll go through talking about how I felt throughout, seeing all the growth changes throughout and all of that fun, and I'm so excited to share all of that with you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching this little sit-down chat today. I'm glad I get to fill you in on everything. And yeah, thank you for spending part of your day with me, for sharing some of your time and your energy. I really appreciate it. I'm just glad to get to share this with you all. So thank you. I hope you have a great rest of your day or evening, and I will see you here again soon. Bye for now.